Welcome to another video.
I've spent a third of my life in China. So, what do I have to show for it? What have I learned? Well, I've just turned 37. In fact, today is my 37th birthday. And I worked it out, and yes, it's not exactly a third. I mean, apparently a third of my life would be 12 years. I've been here about 11 and a half, so whatever, about a third. I thought I'd go through some of the highlights, some of the disappointments, and hopefully there's something in here for those of you who are curious about China, because I do understand that there are not that many people like me who, would come out here and actually spend their whole, well, at least a third of their life here. But there are those of you who are interested in coming here for a short, middle term, or perhaps you're just curious about the country. Anyway, I'm waffling on. Let's get into it. Let's talk about some of the biggest things that I've realized and the epiphanies I've had. Now, the first and probably most disappointing thing that I've come to realize is that although I've been here for 11 and a half years, I worked for most of the time I've been here, and I stayed with one company in particular for over 5 years. All legally, proper work visas and all that kind of thing. I've been married twice, once to a Hong Kong girl, so that doesn't really count, because Hong Kong, although it's theoretically part of China, for all intents and purposes, it's a different country, different law system, different regulations, and if you get married there, it doesn't really mean anything over here. But I've also, of course, been married here in mainland China. And the thing that annoys me the most is that literally there's nothing different, at least as far as the perception of all the people around me. There's absolutely nothing different between me and somebody who just hops off the plane on a tourist visa. This is probably the hardest pill to swallow, because people will treat me exactly the same as they would, like I said, a newbie who just comes off the plane. And, it doesn't matter that I've been here for so long, or that I've worked here for so long, or that I'm married here. I get treated the same by the locals, I get treated the same by the government, I get treated the same by the police, I get treated the same by everybody, which is rather disappointing, and probably the most disappointing thing about having spent so much of my life here. However, that's the negative. Let's move on to the positive. Now, the biggest positive that's come out of me living in China is, of course, meeting my wife. I know that might sound a bit cliche, but it's absolutely true. I've been here, of course, since I was about 25 years old, and you know how it goes. When you're a young man, you're not interested in getting married. You're just interested in having a party and drinking and just letting life carry you forward, and not really thinking about the future, not having any real goals in mind. I honestly didn't know if I was going to stay in China long term or not. I never really, I kind of had this idea that I'd be here for the rest of my life, maybe, if things worked out. Anyway, meeting my wife was the most positive thing, because, I'm just blown away. She's such an amazing person, such a lovely woman, and, you can't help who you fall in love with. That's the thing in life. And it's proven to me, more than anyone else, that cross-cultural relationships, cross-cultural marriages, and cross-cultural stuff just works. The next positive thing is, of course, the sheer adventure that I've had here. China is completely cut off from the rest of the world. I mean, it's changing, of course, it's getting more and more sort of international, but it is actually quite cut off. If you come here fresh off the boat, I mean, just look around me, there's not a single other whitey anywhere near me. I mean, it's just the way it is. You walk around, you're a curiosity. People stare at you, they stop and stare. People stopping and staring, so I'm turning around. People stop and stare at you, they're very sort of curious as to what you are and what you're doing. You cannot access the internet because it's all blocked here. Pretty much 70 to 80% of all the internet that you know overseas doesn't work here. But never mind that, just the fact that things are so different. And that's what's led me to do these motorcycle trips around the country. That's what's led me to do my documentaries, conquering northern China, conquering southern China. Conquering northern China is coming soon, end of October. Conquering southern China, if you haven't seen it, you should go check it out. got something like a 9.4 on IMDb. But you know, these things wouldn't have happened anywhere else. If I'd settled anywhere else in the world or gone anywhere else in the world, like let's say for instance I'd gone to England, you wouldn't have a conquering Birmingham or something like that. It just wouldn't happen because there's nothing to conquer. There's nothing new. And by conquer, obviously, I mean explore and, you know, experience, because, you know, the rest of the world is at our fingertips. You can sort of watch a Lonely Planet video or, you know, read a guide about going to Bruges or, you know, Paris or whatever, and there's nothing interesting, there's nothing out of this world, something that makes you say, wow, that's crazy, that's different. But China is one of those places. And, you know, if you see my documentaries, you'll see, I mean, where else in the world do you get to eat cow shit, hot pots, and live bees, and even worse things that's coming in, conquering northern China? Just nowhere else. Now, if I'm honest, you know, other than my wife, the most positive thing that has come out of me living in China is you. I mean, you, like the person right now watching me, this online community, my YouTube channel, all the things that, you know, have happened as a result. And although it's only been fairly recent that it's really started to pick up, all the things that have kind of carried my life forward have been due to this community of people who are either interested in China, who live in China, who maybe just interested in my exploits and my adventures. You guys have been such an amazingly big part of my life, and of course still are such a big part of my life. That is really the most positive thing, other than my wife, disclaimer, I have to always say that, that has happened to me from this whole living in China sort of adventure. So what is there to conclude from my third of life here in China? Quite simple. China is not a place to immigrate to. Pretty much, you know, like I said, I get treated exactly the same. I have to get back to that point again because it is such a big thing. It's something everybody who has anything to do with China has to realize. I speak the language, you know, I've put the time in, I've done everything. However, I still get people asking me the same questions. Are you used to Chinese food? Oh, your Chinese is so good. You know, the typical stuff that the first person who learns how to say ni hao, who comes here on a backpacking tour or something, will get. So it gets tiresome. It gets tiresome always being the novelty or the, how should I say, the funny, weird foreigner. But then again, you know, that's part of the experience. So whatever the case is, don't expect China to be a place to immigrate to, but do expect China to be a completely different, very interesting adventure. And I can recommend it to anybody who wants to come over here and just experience a massive big change in their lives. Thank you for all of you who have been following my journey over the years. And thank you to the new guys who've just sort of come on board and started to follow. Still a lot to come, still many more things to discover. And once again, guys, you're the reason why I do these videos. You're the reason why this serpentza thing exists. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. You know the drill. In fact, let me get some of you guys to sign off on this video.
Stay awesome!
Oh, and one more thing. For all the haters out there, especially the glass-hearted little 50-cent Chinese guys who leave all these ultra-nationalist comments down in my comment section, you guys don't realize how much damage you're doing to the image of China. Because I do love China. I've been making videos about China for so long. And they're neutral. And I do point out the things that I don't like about China from time to time, of course, because I live here. I've got family here. I'm married to a Chinese national. And so that's just the way it goes. I know you guys can't accept any criticism, but that is, of course, just a sign of your insecurity and weakness. And I just got to tell you to lay off, because when people read my comment section, people that like China, people that are interested in China, they read my comment section and they see this glass-hearted, piss and vinegar, you know, all these disgusting comments that you guys leave. You know what? It doesn't make me look bad. It makes you look bad. It makes China look bad. So knock it off, because all you're doing is making yourselves and China look bad, you stupid little twats. Signing off.